Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. Today's card is kind of an all occasions card. I'm using this all new set called Halftone Hello, and it's got a lot of different sentiments in it. I'm making mine birthday, but there's lots of different ones in here. And then I'm also going to use the sun from the All Inside set along with my Mama Elephant Landscape Trio die set, which I go to all the time. So I'm going to pull this cloud die out, and I have a piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock, just a scrap. I'm going to place it at the top so that I get a pretty thick layer of these clouds, and I'm just going to trim off the edges with a scissor. And it's going to be wider than my card, but that's okay, I'll just trim it out later. So I'm just going to figure out how high I want my clouds to be. So I have my elements, my hello and my sun. I'm just sort of figuring out where to place it at the bottom. And once I figure it out, I'm going to carefully flip it over, and then I'll mark it with a pencil, and that's how I'll put it into my trimmer and cut it back. And then once I have that cut, I can put a little dot at the top of each of these clouds with a pencil. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to do some ink blending, but I want the ink blending to follow the same line as the clouds. Now here I'm priming my ink applicator, and this is a great way to avoid those blocky sort of marks that you get when you try to apply ink to your cardstock. This sort of gets the applicator going with the ink, and it kind of soaks it up a little bit so it's not empty when you start on your cardstock. So anyway, I'm going to start off the paper and kind of do little baby circles moving onto the paper, and I'm following my little pencil marks so that I get higher for the higher clouds and lower for the lower clouds. I really want this to be just a very subtle look, which is why I'm using tumbled glass, because it's a really light blue color. Alright, so now I'm going to take my clouds and put it on top here to make sure that I went up high enough, and it looks just about perfect. So I'm going to trim this panel back 1/8 of an inch on the right, the top, and the left. And once I get that trimmed, I'm going to put it in my MISTI, and I'm going to put it in the middle for now because my clouds are too wide. So I'm going to arrange all of my elements so I have my hello and my sun and also the birthday girl part. And so once I get that all positioned correctly, I can then take the clouds out, and then I'm going to scoot my paper over to the left before I put the lid down, and that way it stamps exactly where I need it to stamp. Now the hello and the birthday girl, I'm going to ink up with some Hero Arts Hero Hues black ink, just because it's a really dark black ink. And then for the sun, I'm going to stamp that in some Memento Tuxedo black ink, because I'm going to be coloring it with Copic, and it's a very Copic friendly ink, but it's not quite as black as the Hero Hues. When I go to stamp the inside of the hello, I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Majig, and I'll show you why in a second. But I need to prepare it, so I'm going to use some VersaFine Black Onyx ink, and I'm using black so that I can really get good visibility of where this stamp is. And plus, the VersaFine is really easy to clean off, and since I'm going to be stamping with yellow next, I need an easy to clean ink. I use my MISTI a lot for lining up stamps, but you could see that when you need exact, precise application of a stamp, that the Stamp-A-Majig is really worth taking the time to use. Sometimes it can be hard to line things up when you're trying to see through your photopolymer stamp. So this just makes it a little easier. So I've got my Stamp-A-Majig handle position, and now I'm going to ink up my stamp with some Daffodil Delight Stampin' Up! Ink. And I'm going to hold it at the top until I get it nice and snug in the corner. Then I'm going to go straight down and then press it down, and then I'm going to pull it straight up. And I found that those are the best tips for using this Stamp-A-Majig. Okay, so now I'm going to color my sun. I'm going to do a quick coloring here. It's a Y11 all over in the middle. And then for the tips on the edges, I'm going to use Y17, which is kind of an orangey yellow color. I'm just going to color that around the edge, and then I'm going to bring that color out to the points with the Y15. Y11, Y15, and Y17 are my go-to yellow colors. They make a great blending combination. Now for his cheeks, I'm going to use YR65. So YR means yellow-red, so there's a little bit of pinkish hue to these cheeks. And then I just blended it out with a zero colorless blender. Right now I'm going to take this panel, put some tape runner on the back, and now I'm going to adhere it to a Stampin' Up! Daffodil Delight piece of cardstock, which matches the ink, which is really nice about the Stampin' Up! Inks. They match the paper. And then I'm going to put some ATG on the back of my clouds, and I'm going to look for those pencil marks, and I'm going to adhere this flush with the bottom of my card. And then I can flip it over and I'll just trim off where the cloud hangs over with a scissor. So that's the basic card. Now I'm just going to add a few details here. I'm going to cover the center of my sun with some glossy accents. And I find that if I kind of tap it a little bit more, it kind of pops some of those bubbles that come out. And then for the hello, I'm going to use my Wink of Stella clear pen, and I'm just going to go over the entire yellow area on the inside of the hello. Stampin' Up! Inks absorb very quickly into the paper, and they are not reactive with water, so I don't have to worry about my ombre hello getting messed up by my Wink of Stella pen. And that is the card for today. So a pretty quick and easy card that you can use for pretty much any occasion. I hope you like that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.